Good morning, I'm WaywornWyrm, and welcome to my channel. And welcome back to the Hoard of the Dragon Queen, episode 14, The Wrath of Cyanwrath. After leaving the trash area, the party quickly came to a steeply descending staircase. At the base of the staircase hung a curtain made from hundreds of heavy leather strips. Each strip was about the width of a human hand, and was fixed to the ceiling, being long enough to hang on the ground. The curtain went from one wall of the passage to the other, and had enough layers to be completely opaque. The leather was clearly poorly made from local animals. The most obvious part of the shoddy construction of the leather was just how badly it was cured. Let's not go down there if we can help it. I have a feeling that there's nothing worthwhile there, especially being so close to the trash, Flintfinder said, pointing at the stairs. Tess nodded her agreement. Not only that, but it appears to be the perfect place for some sort of trap or ambush. Leaving the staircase well enough alone, the party started walking through a short, wide passage when Flintfinder stopped them. The ground's not actually ground right there, it's just parchment, he said, pointing out an area near the middle of the passageway. Once through the passage, they entered a large area made up of two levels. The upper level, which they were on, was lit by several oil lamps which provided dim, flickering light. The bottom area was covered almost entirely in shadow. On the same level as the party stood 5 kobolds, one of them having a set of wings. There was no stealth or surprise in this fight, as both sides saw each other at about the same time, and both charged at each other. Morn targeted the winged kobold and 2 of the others, and set 3 rays of fire out of his hand, one toward each of them. Only the winged kobold was hit. The other 2 rays flew by their targets, leaving them unharmed. The winged kobold, however, fell to the ground convulsing for a second, before becoming still. Flintfinder charged into battle with his swords flashing. Both swords found an enemy kobold and ended them. It was quick and messy, but effective. Quora followed up Flintfinder by creating a knife out of ice and hurling it toward the remaining 2 kobolds. The knife landed right between them and exploded, killing both of them as they froze from the magic dissipating. Garrett looked into the darkness down below and noticed 3 creatures down there. There are some things down there. They seem to be ignoring us. I feel like it would be prudent if we did the same to them and just move on. This idea got a round of acknowledgement from the rest of the group as they moved toward a set of stairs that went down deeper into the cave system. It was really starting to feel like a kobold warren to the party, especially with all the traps they had found. And partway down the stairs, really to the surprise of no one by that point, Flintfinder pointed out a trap. If you step there, then the roof will collapse. He pointed out the entire area of the trap trigger before carefully moving it around it himself. The party finished going down the rest of the stairs without issue once they had moved past the trap, and entered a room that was clearly a cave that was enlarged inexpertly. Thin mattresses of straw, covered with badly cured furs, formed small beds that were haphazardly positioned around the chamber. Rats and small lizards scurried through the food scraps and moldy wineskins littering the floor. But the main thing of interest in the room were the 12 kobolds, half of which were of the winged kind. Garrett was the first to react, immediately killing one of the winged kobolds with his longsword. He punched another one in the head so hard that the head snapped back and the kobold crumpled, its wings furling around it. Continuing his flurry of blows, he kicked another winged kobold so hard it was knocked into the wall and fell to the ground and didn't get back up. The kobolds reacted next, and the 3 remaining winged kobolds all attacked Garrett after his rather impressive display against them. He was able to parry one of them, but their fast and seemingly coordinated attacks were just too much, and twice daggers snuck through his defenses. They left him bleeding and ready to collapse, but still up. The other 6 kobolds attacked Tess and Flintfinder, seeing them as the largest 2 threats given their armor and weapons. Only one of them managed to hit Tess, cutting a thin gash into her upper arm. Flintfinder fared similarly, with only a single dagger making its way past his defenses, doing minimal damage. Mara rushed up to help Garrett, but instead of trying to heal him, she figured the best chance would be to start taking the kobolds out. A swing from her mace took one out as it tried to suck in air, stumbling backward. The second one was seared by light that Mara called down, and it was also taken out of the fight. Quora, figuring that Garrett would be able to take out one more kobold than his own, shot a mote of fire at one of the kobolds attacking Tess. The kobold went up in flames, leaving Tess with only 2 to deal with. Flintfinder knew he couldn't take out all 3 of the kobolds attacking him, but he went for 2 of them. And he took both of them out. The first one was decapitated with a quick swing by Flintfinder, and the second one was so busy being distressed over the death of its comrade, it didn't notice the lightning-fast thrust of Flintfinder's short sword. Tess swung her greatsword hard at one of the 2 remaining kobolds around her, killing it with a single downward slice. Morn took care of the last of the kobolds around Tess with a quick mote of fire. There was only 1 winged kobold by Garrett and Mara, and a single kobold that Flintfinder was dealing with. Garrett made quick work of the winged kobold, then rushed over to Flintfinder, doing a flying kick toward the last kobold. He landed his kick right on the head of the kobold, snapping its neck, and ending the fight. The party then decided to search the room, where they found several stacks of coins, the largest being 88 stacks of 8 copper pieces each. Among the dozens of terribly made dragon talismans and amulets that were carved from bone, soapstone, wood, and ivory, they found 4 that were of a unique, if admittedly savage, workmanship that they decided to take. While they were searching, Mara spent some of the time casting a couple of healing spells on Garrett. The cave that they were in had only 1 exit, and they followed that along a rather long passageway until they reached a chamber that was clearly some sort of shrine. However, before they could take in the entire site, they noticed a familiar face. Langdarosa Cyanwrath, the half-blue dragon, with 4 attendants. As soon as he saw them, he focused on Flintfinder. "You! I challenge you to a rematch. This time it is to the death. Nothing will get between me and crushing you." Flintfinder sprang into action. He had beaten Cyanwrath once before, and he'd do it again. Even though he was lucky the first time. He was off to a good start, though, slicing deeply into Cyanwrath through a gap in his splint mail. A thrust from his short sword found another chink in Cyanwrath's armor, drawing yet more blood. Then it was Cyanwrath's turn to answer. Swinging his greatsword with all of his might, he swung true, hitting Flintfinder hard as he grimaced. Raising his sword again, Cyanwrath attacked. As he hit Flintfinder a second time, Flintfinder tensed up, and for a moment it seemed like his skin hardened to rock as the sword came down, and Flintfinder laughed off much of the hit. Swinging back, Flintfinder continued to find significant gaps in Cyanwrath's armor, slicing deep into his leg with his long sword. With the next thrust of his short sword, Flintfinder found a gap where not only was a section missing from the splint mail, but Cyanwrath seemed to be missing a scale there. At this point, Flintfinder knew that the fight was going to be over in a matter of seconds, either way. He could not take another flurry of blows from Cyanwrath, but luckily it looked like his opponent was in the same spot. Summoning up all of the energy he had, Flintfinder pushed forward for another flurry, his long sword finding Cyanwrath's gut, and as he doubled over from the sword, His short sword found Cyanwrath's neck and ended him. With a withering look, Flintfinder ended whatever fight the armed attendants had in them. I have fought this beast twice, and twice I've bested him. There will be no third time. Looking around the warm, humid room, the party realized that this place was clearly enlarged and reshaped from its original form. Everything had been smoothed out and polished. The walls were decorated with abstract carvings of dragons. Knots and intricate patterns, both made from dragon tails, flowed across the walls around the carvings. And on one corner there was the carving of a 5-headed dragon rising from an erupting volcano. The other dragons, which seemed dwarfed by this 5-headed dragon, flocked to its side. A small wooden chest with silver and mother-of-pearl inlays sat on the ground directly in front of the carving of the monstrous dragon. Thank you so much for listening to episode 14 of Hoard of the Dragon Queen. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. There will be a Friday show. Although the Friday show seems to be shaping up to be a bi-weekly thing at the moment. Thank you.